Oh, I mean, we'll start with Dale if you don't mind.
Right.
What's it like to be a published author, Dale?
It's amazing. I guess it was always kind of a dream in the back of my head. And I've always wanted to write a children's book. I love children, and I didn't know where to start. So as Rabbi Hillel has said, if not now, when? So I just jumped in and started the project, got Gary on board. We collaborated a lot of things together, and here we are.
And Gary is your cousin, is that right?
Yes.
Has Gary always been really artistic?
Always.
In the process of writing this book, I'm curious as to, did the story come first? Did the artwork come first? Were they kind of hand in hand? How did that work?
The story came first.
Okay. And Gary, what was it like to illustrate that story?
Well, being a big Italian family, we all had this Eddie Spaghetti kind of character in our heads almost. And that we used to sing songs about spaghetti and meatballs. I'm just saying, Italian American kids, we spent a lot of time together, usually around the table. Dale approached me about wanting to do this children's book, and it would just coincided with me having an illness and spending some time at home. So it was like the perfect storm of opportunities. Good timing.
Gary, the illustrations themselves are probably some of the most unique I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of children's books. My daughter's 4, so I feel like I've seen all the classics, and I've never seen anything like this. What is it?
They're salted watercolors. I do have a fine art degree. I was more interested in the business side of art, but always maintained some creativity going, drawing, sketching, a little bit of painting. And frankly, in college, the one course I really could not handle, did not do well with, was watercolor. So I took it on when I became semi-retired, and really, I think, pushed the medium by using a lot of salt, a lot of texture, and some mixed media too.
I mean, hey Dale, how do the illustrations match up with your vision of the story?
Above and beyond. Above and beyond.
It's so cool. Dale, where'd you, so I mean, Gary kind of talked about, sitting around the table, cousins, family time, spaghetti, eating. Where did the idea come from to actually turn it into something?
Well, I was the secretary at an elementary school for 30 years, and I encountered thousands of children. All were different, all are precious, all are unique. And I just love children for their honesty and innocence. So because none of us, so Gary and I collaborated, and because none of us are perfect, everyone is imperfect. So I wanted to write a book about perfectly imperfect children, because it's easy to see physical disabilities. It's not so easy to see cognitive disabilities. So as a result, I wanted to celebrate everybody.
Well, I think you do. And I think Eddie is so cute how he really is interested in what all of his friends want. But ultimately, he still wants to make sure that there's spaghetti at the
Yeah.
Still very important that he gets. Okay. So what's the writing process like for a book like this? How long does it take? How does it come together?
The writing doesn't take that long. If you're in that mode, that creative mode, it doesn't take that long. What was hard was because I've never published a book before. I didn't know the ropes and the ins and outs of it, and that took a lot of research. And this book is what they consider a self-published book.
Congrats on that.
To go to a main publisher is very, very costly. So when you self-publish, you get a publisher, but you do a lot of the work on your own. Wow. So that's what took the time.
Do the two of you, do you guys enjoy reading also?
I do.
Yourselves?
I do.
Voraciously,
Oh,
voraciously, parochially, really advanced reading. Reading was pushed in the parochial schools in the
Sure.
60s and 50s.
sure. One of the things that I think makes this book extremely unique as well are the footnotes at the end that describe who each character is. Kind of relates to people in your lives. Character footnotes.
Absolutely.
How does that come about? I think that is so unique. Can you kind of talk a little bit about how you made that decision to include people like that?
Gary?
Dale, if I can address that one, it was kind of
Yes.
an evolving thing. Frankly, one of the first questions was, what were we trying to achieve? Well, it's about family. So I know Dale wanted to kind of feature some of her grandchildren in the book. And although I hadn't met them, I knew their parents as children. So she gave me a description and we started from there. And then I started to introduce some of our family members, including my little brother, who did have cerebral palsy. And that kind of relationship with a child who has what we used to say were disabilities, that can be a generational thing too. Even my mother went to a school that was called the Cripple School.
Wow.
So socially, we have to become aware that there's the seen and the unseen, the visible and the invisible. And as Dale said, everybody's perfect in their own way. And there's only one great perfection, and that's the universe in its entirety. So it starts with the children. We all start as children and we evolve. So the characters were an evolution of family members, people that I had known and I had met, but mostly there's some characteristic in each of them. Some of the characteristics have multiple characters that I've known infused into one.
Mhm.
So
Pretty
that's
awesome.
where it came from.
So who is Eddie in your lives?
I'm going to let you go first, Dale, and then I want to crack at that one too.
Eddie is generic.
Okay.
He was generic.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
There's a little Eddie spaghetti in all of us.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. One of the things that I think is also awesome is the glossary at the end for those who didn't grow up in an Italian household or with an Italian market in the neighborhood, or I love how it kind of comes together and sheds some light on some really delicious food.
You are what you eat.
I assume that it's more than just food to you guys, that there's probably a story that goes with every kind of lunch meat slice and every kind of pan and every bowl that you've eaten. I'm sure that there's stories there as well.
Italians
Dozens.
celebrate love with food.
I understand. Dale, if somebody was interested in becoming a writer someday and they wanted to make their own book, any advice or any insight into how they can make that a reality?
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of research. Have patience and believe.
Gary, how about you? If somebody is, they're that kid that people always say things like, man, you just really are good at drawing. How can they take it to the next level and collaborate with somebody and put out pieces of work that people get to see and enjoy?
You just got to pursue your passion, whatever it is, and you've got to work at it. I didn't come back to really drawing and painting till after a 25-year hiatus of working with artists and galleries. And I was an art auctioneer, was on cruise ships. I traveled all around the world. I'd seen all kinds of cultures, and all of that is part of the work. So get your education, follow your passion, regardless of what people tell you. Take the risk. It's all about taking the risk.
Yeah.
My last question is kind of circling back to the names. What came first, the names or the food that they were going to match up and rhyme with?
I think that's a good one for Dale.
Yeah, I think the food, I came up with the food, then I tried to find a name that rhymed with the food.
Yeah. And it just so happens that you happen to have connections to a lot of those names as well, which is
I do.
extremely ironic. I mean,
I do.
that's pretty wild.
Lots of vowels. vowels, lots
Yeah,
of vowels. It
there are a
helps
lot
in
of
the
vowels. It helps. I guess it's easier when the names are set up that way.
Right.
Wow. This is awesome. This is great insight into what it's like to be a published author and to illustrate a book of this magnitude. So where can we buy this book at?
You can get it on Amazon. You can get it at Barnes and Noble.
Oh, wow. I'll make sure that when I put this video out there, I'll have links to both of those so that hopefully some Masonic Heights families go ahead and get this book themselves as well.
Oh, good. Thank you.
So I have no other questions. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to share. As kids and their families go ahead and watch this, is there anything else that you're interested in sharing with us?
No, I think it's just to make sure that everybody has respect for everybody, no matter what their differences, and just love everyone.
Yeah.
Take people for what they are and include everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.